Going live. Welcome everyone to the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. I am John Lavenia, here with you live as I am every Monday and every Friday here in our general sessions. I do want to welcome some of our new members who are tuning in, and also some people who are tuning in, perhaps for the first time via YouTube or Facebook. Today's Memorial Day here in the United States, so I want to honor all the veterans and families of veterans who have sacrificed for what we've got here. So pretty tremendous. And I know a lot of people are celebrating right now. We've got a light crowd on the live broadcast today. So, hot dogs and, barbecues and whatever, that's awesome. Yeah, there's a bigger thing, which is what this day is about. So for those of you who've had, relatives or yourself in military service, just want to honor that today. So moving into what we've got going on, being that it is Memorial Day and being that we're international, so a lot of people have no participation with that in other countries. Obviously, we do have a full schedule. So we've got e-commerce work group with Emma, and that is going to be Emma and Neil today at 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. So those of you engaged in e-commerce, that's where you want to be. And tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're covering the preface as well as the first 3 chapters of Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Interesting read. Those of you who are in the book study group with us, this is pretty intense compared to like some of the other stuff we read, like T. Harv Eker. We just read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, which is more conversational, let's say. But we're going back to 1960 on this one. So pretty modern, but pretty in-depth as well. So enjoy that. We're going to cover the preface and the first 3 chapters tonight. And I see a few more of my friends just showed up here. I see Carl and Daisy, Edward, Jane, Janet, Suzanne in Switzerland. So here's what's coming up for me. I had an interesting conversation this past weekend with one of my personal coaching clients, and we were talking about goals. And before you groan, because John, we've talked about goals before. Okay. We're talking about goals, and this person's no slouch. They are very intelligent, very able, right? Able-minded, able-bodied, and all that, right? And they are looking to up their game substantially, like at least a doubling of obviously income and all the things that go with that. And that's what we were focused on a little bit is, what goes with that. And this person had some very specific things they wanted the money for. Now that's a good thing, right? We don't want to be vague. We want to be unvague about that stuff. We want to know why we're showing up. We want to know why we're, in some cases, striving. Although striving may not be it's not my favorite word. Striving sounds hard, right? But why are we developing habits, right? Doing things consistently, attempting to get into the flow with our work and our production to raise those stats. Like, why are we doing any of this? Well, the money is something we can quantify, right? So it's easy to keep score, but there's a purpose for the money. And that's where I was going here with this idea is that something that was told to me a while ago is that, John, it's actually easier to make 50,000 a month than it is to make 5 if you've got a good reason for the 50, like a real good reason. And so that leads us into the idea of like really getting clear about our goals. We've used, and I know many of you, I think here are familiar with the SMART goals formula. So, and I know this has been passed around and even diluted by people. So I'm going to give you, I think, the strongest version of it real quick, and then I'm going to get into where I was going with this coaching client. But the SMART goals formula, just as a quick refresher, is an acronym, SMART. S stands for specific. So specifically, what do you want, right? That's a reason to show up, right? It's specifically that's the outcome, that's the experience, that's the result. Okay. M stands for measurable. Now we can get into things that we can quantify. It's money, or it's a certain amount of fitness, weight loss or weight gain, right? For bulking up muscle or, um, or a certain amount of, production, right? So that's M for measurable. A for achievable, right? So is this something that you could actually do? And where do we look for a barometer for that? Well, has anyone else ever done it? Now, usually we could say yes, right? I remember when I was first getting into business, my initial goal was to make 20,000 a month, which was like double what I was making at the job. And other people on planet Earth have done that, right? I was the first guy to do that. There are other things which may not bear as much evidence or no evidence. Things like I think of the idea of summiting Mount Everest. The first guy to do that was Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, after multiple failures, by the way. And no one else had ever done it before. In fact, the evidence was contra to their intention. So people die doing this stuff, right? They already failed to do it a couple of times. And so now lots of people have done it, right? So anyway, A is for achievable. Take your own inventory on that. R is for relevant. And some other people ascribe a different meaning to the letter R, a watered down one. Realistic? No, screw that. We already covered achievable or attainable, right? So we don't need to say if it's realistic. We already covered that. So really think here, everyone. Think. R for relevant. Relevant. This may be the most important, I think it is the most important part of goal setting. So relevant to who? Great question. Relevant to you. So what that means is that you must set your own goal. You can't have somebody else's goal, nor can someone else set it for you, nor is it selfish for you to do this. Think about it like this. If you were living someone else's life because of attempting to be a people pleaser or in compliance or something, you're actually diluting yourself, right? Which is also, I would say, not a statement of providing the best service and being the best you that you can be out in the world. So there's actually, you can do some mental gymnastics with this and look at it as, you not being a self-determined and causative person could be a more selfish thing. Then what? Now you're a victim. Now you're not able. Now you need to be cared for. That sounds pretty selfish, right? You're not displaying abundance, so therefore you can now put out benefits beyond your own physical presence. Yeah, that sounds pretty selfish. So I say no apologies on this. There's nothing selfish about it. Your goal is yours. Now that doesn't mean you can't commingle goals and purposes with other people. So let's say you had, it was relevant to you personally to go to Disney World or vacation or something, but that also includes your family, your children, whatever it happens to be. Right. So understand that there could be shared relevances, but it has to be relevant to you. This is so huge. There's an old saying, logical salespeople have skinny kids. So consider that. Emotion has to come into it. Relevance. T for time. So SMART, time. Was it Parkinson's law? Work expands to fill the time allowed for it. And most people give themselves too much time, because they base their expectations on, their production from yesterday. So here was yesterday's statistics or results or whatever. And I'm identifying with that or as that. So let me now be that today and, expect it to take a long time, or expect tiny little incremental increases instead of big exponential explosions, right? As you guys know, I love to say, make a spectacle of yourself, right? Well, this is how we do it, is we tighten up the time. In other words, we give ourselves less time because then we'll get stuff done more rapidly, right? Now, this formula, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely, this formula is something that we can then use, like Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich, and we can write down on a gold card or on a statement using the principle of auto-suggestion, getting very explicit about how we describe this experience, the specific experience, and the quantities, the measurable items, and of course the relevancy of all that, the emotional, right? And then we give ourselves a timeline for that, right? We write that down in a statement. Napoleon Hill also advised that we go ahead and say what we're willing to exchange for that, right? We're going to induce others to help us because of our willingness to help others, right? There's this thing called the law of exchange, right? Money doesn't just fall out of the sky because, the gods smiled upon you or something. At least I have not seen that work out yet. Anybody else, maybe you can mentor me. But as far as I know, we've got to exchange something, right? And the idea that we can exchange in abundance, that we can, give more in terms of use value and perceived value and like surprise and delight and have have people love our products and then refer others and repeat business and all that stuff. That all comes into play. So when we visualize this stuff, we visualize actually participating in the delivery of the services, the exchange, the delivering those benefits into the marketplace. I was looking at Suzanne just before, right? And she's into the world of fashion, right? That is a world that I don't know too much about. As you guys know, I wear, black polo shirt and blue jeans and, motorcycle boots and whatever. But okay, I suppose that qualifies as fashion. But there are people like that are really, into that, right? So what is it that, what is that experience that you're exchanging for the money, which people value that experience of fashion Suzanne, I can't possibly do this justice explaining what you do. It's not my world, okay, but it is your world. But there is a perceived value there that the correct target customer, right, says, oh, that's worth more to me than this little bit of money. Here, have the money. I want that value, right? So we see ourselves engaging in commerce in that way, and we're all engaged in some way. Even if you're working a job or something, you're engaged in commerce where, if you're dealing with free enterprise anyway, you've got an organization which must produce a profit so that it can pay you, and that's actually your customer, right? That's your customer, is the organization, the boss, the corporation, the whatever it is. Okay, so no matter what you're doing, you could see that you were hired or your services were purchased, right? Because it's worth more than not having the benefits that you can provide. All right. And I think this can sometimes get a little bit lost, especially if you're doing work. Like, I know we've got people who are accountants here, right? Does that produce revenue? Does that produce profitability? Not directly. Okay. But try running an organization without accounting, right? So there's a valuable product being produced there, which people are willing to exchange for. I don't want to do the accounting. You do the accounting. Here's some money. Now I can go do other things which are more profitable for me to do. So anyway, you get the point. Here's the next point. To take this a little bit further, when we're very specific about what we want, it helps all the other aspects of this SMART goals formula, including and especially time. Let me give you an example. And this is one that I've talked about. This is a while ago, so I haven't talked about it in a while. So I'll go ahead and talk about it right now. It was about a house. So Shannon and I, my wife and I, we were living in this house, and we decided we wanted to upgrade. After all, we were making a lot more money than we were when we bought this house that we're in now. And it's another aspect of Parkinson's law, is that the more money you make, the more you spend, right? So the more time you have, the longer it takes. The more money you make, the more money you spend. You can put in some very worthy discipline on that, by the way. And I think the older we get, the older we get, the more prudent we could get, right? Some people do, some people don't. But I like that word, prudence. Anyway, so we've got this house that we're looking at, right? And so we're driving around our town. We're looking at these premium neighborhoods, and there's some houses up on the hill. So we drive up on the hill, we get through the gate, and we're looking at these houses that are gorgeous. Some of them are built, people live in them. Some of them have been spec'd out, the land, graded. And here's this one that has a foundation and some framework going up. Okay, so they got the slab, and they got the framework going up. And so we go onto this construction site when people aren't there, And we're looking around at the views. There's the mountains. There's the city lights. You can imagine it at night, right? And then we leave, right? And then a few days later, we go there again. Let's go look at that house again. Yeah, and we go there. Anyway, we did this a few times, and finally, we're thinking maybe we should buy this house, right? I wonder if we could pick out like the stonework and the iron doors and what color wood we want on the cabinetry and all the appointments in the house, right, to spec it out ourselves. So we wind up calling the construction company. And we say, hi, we're the Lavenias, and we've been looking at your house. And they said, yeah, we know. We've got you on security camera. Okay, great. So obviously, we're interested in the house. What would it take for us to be able to like select all the things that are going in the house? And they said, well, we're going to spec with it in a month. And at that point, we've got to have our sourcing list and all that stuff. But if you want the house, you just put 50,000 in escrow this month, and then you spec it out. Oh, 50,000. Okay, now at the time, we were making about 30,000 a month, and we were spending about 30,000 a month. Okay, so just to give you some perspective, so it was Parkinson's law once again, and here's an opportunity to come up with an extra 50 this month. 30 days, right? Or 28 days, or however many days was left in that month for us to take control of that project. And wouldn't you know it? That next 30 days, we made $80,000. Said, here's your 50 grand. Our house now. Our house. We're in control. So what happened? There? We got very specific about what we wanted. We had a reason for the money. We had a reason for significant increase in the short term. You see, we tightened it up. There's a timeline. We tightened it up, and we got done what we expected that we could get done. Okay, so coasting along at a certain degree of production, right? What's the old saying? Good is the enemy of great. Yeah, it's good. It's good. But now we've got a reason to be great. Now, how often can that be implemented? I've sometimes, because I'm not a sports guy per se, and some of you can correct me on this, but I've sometimes looked at the frenetic activity that happens towards the end of a football game, for example. Suddenly everyone's full of energy and everyone's like working really hard. And I think to myself, well, why the hell weren't they doing that during the whole game? I mean, as soon as the whistle blows and it, start, right? Start. It should be, that level of action. No? But you see, because we had something that close that we could taste it. And I get the idea of longer term goals. Longer term goals are good. All right. Anything that's on purpose, I would say, is good, right? It's on purpose. And so, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I've got that vision as well. Or I can cultivate that vision. But things that are closer to us, right? Like I want that thing. And sometimes it's just that thing. A new phone, a new watch, a new car. Right? These physical objects. Sometimes we get really, really excited about that stuff. Again, is that a selfish thing? Is that something you should stuff down and just constantly put off? Because after all, it would be more prudent to just go ahead and get some more investments, and defer gratification. And look, deferred gratification is good, but gratification is also good. Like defer till when? So what I'm asking you to do, and this is the thing that I was considering for myself and for the client, because I can't say anything without me hearing it, right? I'm always interested to hear what I'm going to say because it has an effect on me too. So my consideration was, okay, well, what would it take for you to get this thing? Like what's something that you could reward yourself with, that you've been denying yourself up to this point, that you could reward yourself with if you made a certain amount of money? Okay, in this case, we're talking about physical stuff. Physical stuff costs money. Okay, so that's the game we're playing. Okay, so what's the carrot? What is the carrot here? And we got to know this carrot. We got to know it inside and out. Like if it's a car, every option on that car, the color, the stitching on the leather, everything. I want to know everything about that car. Okay. Uh, Recently, I've gotten my attention fixated on another motorcycle. So I'm not going to tell you which one. Actually, it's two of them. So I'm a little bit torn. How many garage spaces do you need? But and I can only ride one at a time. Okay. But I'll tell you what, some of these new bikes are amazing. Um, okay. So like do your research, right? Dream build a little bit. You all know about dream boards, right? Well, this in this case could be, a dream website, for the, for the watch, for the car, for the motorcycle, for the whatever. Okay. And so let's say that it costs this amount. Let's say arbitrarily we're talking about $1,000 carrot. Okay, here's the prize. $1,000 is what it costs. Okay. And let's say that right now you're at, let's say you're making 10,000 a month. And it wouldn't be prudent for you to go ahead and allocate $1,000 towards this thing. Now, there's a couple of approaches you could take. One is like what we read about recently in T. Harv Eker's book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, where you're diverting capital into multiple accounts. And here would be like a spending account that you put a certain percentage in, and that adds up over time. Okay, that's nice. And once again, very, very prudent, and you can get consistent with that. That's beautiful. I'm talking about hitting something so hard because you got a reason to hit it hard right now. You've induced for yourself a necessity level, and it's not really a need, but it's a desire level. Let's say that a level of desire that you just got so much interest in it. You're so interested in acquiring that thing. And other people have that thing. I remember when I was looking to get my first Lexus, right? Well, my mentor said, John, did they build those for other people or did they build one for you? Oh, well, they built one for me. Well, okay. Now that you've made that decision, go get the money. Okay. So we're going to decide we will have this thing, this carrot that's dangling and that we're dangling in front of our own faces. Okay. We know every detail about that carrot. So now to justify and to know that you're operating with good, financial, ethics and all that. How much additional money, in addition to the 10,000 you're currently making per month, how much additional money would you put on the table to then say, you know what, I'm going to take 1,000 of that right now, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on that. It's your goals, right? You make up the numbers. But here's what's going to happen, everyone. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to start getting ideas. Let's say it was a doubling. All right. So my first $20,000 month, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy the $1,000 thing. Okay. Fantastic. And keep in mind, you may have like prior obligations. You may have deficit, like, debts and whatever. And as a person of integrity, you'll certainly handle those. That's fine. Okay. But we got to look past. Like the goal here isn't just getting to zero, right? If you're in debt, the goal isn't, hey, I'm at zero. No, right? You've got to reward yourself as well. Yes, prudence, yes, deferred gratification, but also some reward, right? For showing up and for doing the work that you know how to do and doing at a much higher level. So let's say, all right, so it's 10,000, additional 10,000. So my first 20,000. Okay, got it. So I'm making the 10 and I make another 10. How can I make another 10,000 right now? And start asking yourself that question. Like right now, here's the timeline. Remember, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Do other people increase their income by $10,000 in one calendar month? Yeah. The other people have done that. By what means? By all different kinds of means. What's your path, right? What are you really good at? What could you sell right now that would be worth more than the $10,000 to the people who will give you that money in exchange for it? Like somebody's got your money right now. And it could be a bunch of somebody's, right? It might not just be one customer at $10,000 price point. Could be 10 customers at 1,000. Right. Yeah. It could be 100 customers at 100. What could you sell right now? What could you provide that would be worth $100 to 100 people? There's 10 grand. Great question to ask. And you're going to get these ideas and you're going to reject some of them. You're like, no, that wouldn't work. No, I'm not sure about that. And then what's going to happen, as long as you keep thinking about the carrot, okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop trying to force solutions on yourself. and things that just cause arguments in your own mind. Yeah, that doesn't work. Maybe, I'm not sure, right? And you're going to be doing something completely unrelated, like lifting weights, going to the gym, running around the street, looking at trees, digging a ditch, chopping wood, something other than thinking about this. And a flash of insight is going to come, a hunch, and it's going to seem maybe a little bit far out. Or maybe it'll seem like, wow, why didn't I think about that before? Of course that, right? But you get an idea, and then you act immediately on that idea. You act immediately, referring back to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. All right, this is the sixth sense, the 13th principle of of all those he studied who created wealth, and they act on these hunches. If they do not, if you stifle that, then you stifle the flow, and you're saying, I don't want these hunches. I don't want to get into the flow. I'm being reasonable. I already know everything. How reasonable. So think about that. There's incremental increase, which is good and right. And there's exponential increase, which sounds unreasonable because it is, and because we're going to go beyond reason. If we want unreasonably good results, we got to get a little bit unreasonable with ourselves. Look, if your best thinking got you here, but not further, okay, I guess you get credit for that, but you didn't come this far just to come this far, right? So what can you do to double your income this month? I'm not talking about next month, right? But right now, hit it hard, do what you got to do. Now, next month, we'll see that your standards have probably been raised a little bit. Not that you've got a new habit in just a month, right? Some people argue that, yeah, you've got a new habit. But what we're talking about right now is just a short term, like the end of that football game. Okay. It's the last quarter. It's the last, 2 minutes or whatever it is. And everybody forgot how tired they were. Isn't that amazing? Everybody forgot. I would say you can induce that for yourself. And I've done this multiple times. And perhaps it's not sustainable, or perhaps once again, now that I've got the goal, right? I attained, the carrot. I got comfortable. I've done this so many times. I've gotten comfortable, right? So that's the other side of the story, right? Is you run a blitz and then you stop running a blitz, right? I guess more on that. Tune in next time, folks, and we could talk more about how to sustain super high levels of production. I'm still learning that myself. What do you guys think of this? Do you have something you want? I hope you do. I hope you do. And it's not all just about, I want the new stuff. Okay. But no apologies for wanting nice stuff, right? They're making it for somebody. Floor is open. Anybody who wants to come out on this Memorial Day, please feel free to chime in, thoughts, questions. I know we got an intimate crowd here today. A lot of people are probably at the barbecue already. Please feel free to share. Come on down. I don't see any hands, not yet. I'm going to take a sip of coffee while you guys figure out who's going to speak first. Or we could sit here and we could do like a little group meditation and just look at each other. How would do that? You want to do that? Johnny, you want to do that? Edward?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a very inspirational way of seeing it and understanding it. And also the thing that really makes you want to do is move. Mm-hmm. Because if you move your feet, you'll see what you're running toward, Mm-hmm. So this carrot thing, it makes you think about a dog race, and that little carrot that the dogs chase.
Oh, the rabbit, the greyhound.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just the same thing, just fix your mind what it is that you want and run after it. And the inspiration, like you said, it comes right to you. I'm excited about this. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit more perspective on what I need to do. Thank you.
Beautiful, brother. Yeah. Keep your eye on that carrot. Actually, that's a metaphor for donkeys, supposedly. I don't know. I'm not a donkey master. Okay. But you hold the stick with the string and the carrot and you put it out in front of the donkey because the donkey's stubborn, right? It doesn't want to move. So you put the carrot in front of the donkey's face beyond where he can reach it. So he starts walking. So, yeah, good stuff. Anybody else? Any other thoughts on this and exponentially increasing your results in the short term? Because you got a damn good reason to, and you know what that reason is. You got a reason to get unreasonable.
I'm going to say one more thing. Collapsing the time. That is so, you always think about, what can I do right now? What can I do? I guess another call or whatever the case may be. But what you're saying is that you got to multiply your activity. You got to cause that activity to be more fruitful. And how do you make it more fruitful? By engaging more often. So basically, collapsing the time has to do with creating more activity. That's really what it's all about. Huh?
There you go. Thank you, Edward. I see Linda's about to jump out here. Hi, Linda.
Hey, John.
Hey.
Yeah, I have multiple things to do today, but now because of coming here, I promised myself I'm going to make 5 calls for my direct marketing.
Okay.
Gig. So yeah, you motivated me, so thanks.
Oh, well, I'm so motivational. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
And look, compared to what most people do, let's say you've got a business, you're running a side business, here's direct sales, right? Networking, whatever. 0, right? That's the typical statistic would be 0. So, even 1 would be infinitely better than 0. You're talking about 5, right? Something that Grant Cardone, those of you who've read any of his work, he's got the 10x rule, right? So whatever your goal is, 10 times. That's it, 10 times. And then, of course, do 10 times the effort. And you probably won't reach that target, but maybe you land at 8 times. Okay, well, that's fine too. But one of the things that he says is who's got my money? That's a question he asks himself. So it's already his money, right? It's just in other people's pockets. So who's got my money? An interesting perspective on that. All right, good stuff. And so we got who else wants to jump out here right now? Come on down. We got a small crowd here today, so we don't need to raise hands. Just go ahead and unmute. I do see we got Carl, Daisy, Edward in UK. Good to see you. Jane, Janet, Linda just spoke. Lindsay, Sandy, Sandra, and Suzanne. Any other thoughts on this today? Or would you like to share your carrot with us? Because look, what we validate expands, right? So let's keep talking about that carrot, right? I know. In fact, I'll tell you what, people knew, like with that Lexus that I wanted to buy, right? And then that I did bought. I talked about, like, there was nothing secret about that. I'm getting a new Lexus. And everybody knew it. And I got it. And they're like, well, shit, you got the Lexus. Funny stuff. All right. And as soon as I figure out which motorcycle I'm landing on, it's either the Harley Davidson Street Glide Special or the Indian Chieftain Black Horse. Not sure which one. They're both awesome. So, always been a Harley guy. That Indian is nice. Oh my goodness. All right. Anybody else? Last call? Last call. We're done. I will see you all later. You have an awesome day. You totally deserve it. And remember, e-commerce work group and book study.